for every thought that was stopped, I recognised that there was a tension that I'd never recognised before. A tension related to a thought in the body, a muscle related to it, you know. And it was only when the thought was stopped that I recognised there was tension. The tension was there always, and yet when I'd stopped the thought there was no more tension, and it was only the no more tension that made me realise it was tension. And then there was deep processes, subliminal we could call it, I suppose, subliminal thoughts. And those subliminal thoughts showed me everything, even those subliminals corresponded to a tension within the body. As soon as I could let the emotions, the thoughts and the subliminals go, it was like if all my body was gone. And the body becomes nothing.
So can we say that we experience the body through tension, through the mind?
Yes.
Without mind, without thought, there is no tension present. By that you don't experience body.
That's correct. And if you consider that we are everything we have made, and what is the we have made is the thought. And if you consider we are solid substance, and our thoughts, what do we call it? Not solid, unsolid.
Fluid.
Well, not even fluid. They are vacuums of energy in a way, and yet those vacuums of energy have created a solid substance, the body. So it's correct to relate thought, creation of solidarity of the body, and therefore the undoing of the undoing of the mind is the undoing of the body. And then I would start seeing the mind. And my first observation of the mind, after observing the body, was it was a whirlwind. What is this mind? It was just constantly thoughts. I could only see a mad whirlwind. It was zooming around, non-stop. There was no sense in it. There was nothing that I could see. That there was, I could say, this is a thought. There was so much. So anyway, I would sit and try to slow it down. And then in the end, I felt like a failure. How the hell do you stop this? And then there was a give up. I give up, man. How can I stop this mind? And suddenly, I'm just watching all of this whirlwind. And this is something that happened different. It seemed to happen on its own accord. I didn't make this giving up, trying to stop the thoughts, and you're just looking at it as a vast mountain to climb. And I would sit there, and at moments I would have this observing the thought syndrome. That there was something observing this whirlwind. Something became. It was before that. It was this something was the mind itself. When I was struggling with the mind, I was the mind itself. I was in the mind. I am the mind. I am me. I am the mind. And it was me. The mind was trying to stop the mind. Me. The mind was trying to stop the mind. It gave up. And then suddenly there was a recognition that when it gave up, there was a slight parting from the mind. It wasn't the mind no more. There was something that parted from the mind, and the mind was on his own, and the me something was on his own too, observing the mind. And there would be moments of this moving out and moving in, and back in mind. God, give up. I would try to fight, stop mind. I'm in mind at that moment, and then give up. I'm standing back of mind. Stop mind, back in. I am mind. Give up. And I recognize this coming in out, coming into mind and going out of mind, observing mind. I recognize that this is where it's at. I recognize that there was something that was watching. What is that something? That is me. Then the more I did it, the more I saw this principle working, that it was In mind, out mind. Mind is still working, but there's something apart from mind. In mind, out mind. There's something that's still separate from the mind. And I recognise this distinction. There was a distinction between mind and between that something observing. So I'd already at this point got over another barrier, and that was recognition that there were two principles involved. There was my mind, me, and there was a me that was without mind, and it was grasping the me without mind, the observer. Then the more I practiced this, it became more and more as if I was sat watching a movie. And before the movie, I was too close to it. Do you know, there was a pulling away, a gradual pulling away. And the further back I got away from it, the more it became like a movie. And then it came to the point in the meditation where I would look forward. There was a period where this was a task, this meditating. It was a task. It was work. It was not easy. It was a difficult task. And then, you know, I would break the meditations and walk up and down quite often, you know, and then go for it again, totally on the meditation. And then this other barrier became behind me, or I'd overcame another barrier. Where it had been a task, it was now something nice to look forward to. A bit like when we become stimulated by turning the TV set on, there's something nice to watch. Suddenly, I thought, wow, yeah, I got something nice to watch. I'm watching this mind. It's great to watch. It's entertaining. It became an entertainment to watch. Whereas before that, it was, wow, it was awesome. Not awesomely nice, awesomely terrible. Totally out of control. But now, I was sat. Every time I would sit, I was looking forward to sit and watch this screen, to watch the telly. Instead of going home in the house, turn the telly on in the night and sit for hours like a couch potato, I would sit in this meditation watching this screen. This was my entertainment. I never had nothing else except one thing in that cell. There was the book, holy book, the Bible. And I always remember thinking, well, there's something missing. Something missing. And I'd had a desire that was still left in me, that was left over from. There was a desire to know about this guy called Jesus that I'd heard about when I was a child in school. Funny. You would think that meditation would mean end of mind, end of all desire. I knew that I had to end desire, but yet there was one, for some reason, one desire left, and it was to read that book alongside meditation, to read the Bible. Strange, one may say, especially if you're a Buddhist. And so I recognized that I got rid of the hate within my system. I recognized that I'd become an observer of this screen. And there was a new situation now, but I wanted to stop. How can I stop? And slowly the screen, the television started blanking away. And then there would be a gap. An end of part, let's call it, only without the commercials. Slowly I was beginning to recognize that the thing that had split away from the thoughts and the observer had become in his own right an entity. It had become me. I was becoming the entity, or the awareness was becoming more than the mind. This was growing in strength, and this was becoming less in strength, and the gaps were becoming longer.
The gaps of silence?
Yeah, the gaps of nothing.
Nothing.
I mean, they were like, they was as big as the gaps between words written in a book.